This episode of the Closeout Bodyboarding podcast is brought to you by Bodyboarding Victoria and ATTICA Wetsuits. The new ATTICA winter range is now available in your favourite bodyboard and surf hardware stores. To stay warm this winter, check out the new Alpha series featuring liquid seams, gridlock firewall lining and 100% Neospan Simper Stretch for ultimate flex. Or if you're lucky enough to be in a warmer climate, the Omega series has you covered with GPS construction, seamless stomach design and tape criticals. Check out the entire range at atticawetsuits.com.
Welcome back to the Closeout Bodyboarding podcast and audio experience where a few good mates sit around, talk about all things bodyboarding. I'm one of your hosts, Benny Urbn. Sitting right next to me is Shane Britton, and joining us from some office in some part of the world, as usual, Chris Watson. Boys, good to have you all back again. How you doing?
Great to be here.
So it is great. It is great to be here.
It is. I like being here as opposed to a little man on a screen.
That's a fair point.
It's actually would be interesting for the listeners to know. We'd had a little meeting and we weren't actually going to include Watto today.
Yeah.
But the sort of we got tagged all of a sudden on social media, and it's this clip of Watto, and he's polishing his Tom Wilson Award, watching the Closeout podcast live on buddy YouTube, whinging about why he wasn't going to be included. I couldn't believe it.
You wouldn't read about it. That's like...
It's weird too because he had his shirt off.
Yeah, he's just in a pair of jocks.
Yeah.
Did you see how fit I look in that clip?
Yeah.
I didn't see you do a handstand at the end, that's for sure.
That bit got edited out.
Well done to Kingy on that as well.
Yeah, we'll talk more about that throughout the app. But yeah, I mean, yeah, good to be back with you boys. I know we've caught up in the flesh only a few short weeks ago, but I mean,
didn't get a chance to potty.
Yeah, just too much.
That was a busy weekend.
Too much happening.
Too many beers at the Irish at the Warrnambool and what's that pub called? What do I know?
The Whalers. Yep. Shout out to the Whalers for a happy hour.
Yeah, well, speak for yourselves. I missed that evening, unfortunately. Yeah. But I mean, yeah, look, to kick things off, once again, big shout out for all of our listeners out there in the audio world. Let's just have a quick chat about the potty. How's it all going? Shano, website, socials, mate, you've been busy.
Socials killing it. Everyone gets a little bit extra by following our socials, seeing a few images and clips and that we get to refer to throughout the potty. So if you're not following our socials at the moment, definitely jump on and follow them. But yeah, everything's been really good. And the response to the last potty, I'm actually interested to hear what Watto's thoughts were. The Spocko podcast, Steve Watson. How's the family sort of the reaction to that been, mate?
Oh, it's been really good. Like, I've had a whole heap of family members that have been hanging on for that potty to come out. And as you know, I was trying to remember when we recorded it. I think it was it September last year or something?
Yeah, like
it was a while ago.
August or September, yeah, so it's a long time ago.
And I hadn't listened to it, and I listened to it the other day and sort of, look, for me personally, it was a little bit emotional listening to it again. But, yeah, all the family input's been really good. Mum's like, Dad got the names wrong of his ancestors. And I'm like...
Doesn't matter, they're dead, mate. It's all good.
They're,
I said to Mum...
They died trying to swim from the heads back to shore, I think.
I said to Mum, is that your biggest gripe about the whole potty or what? Like, and then my sister's like, I wasn't mentioned that much in there. Like, I should be mentioned.
Touch of the Cola Britons.
Yeah, shout out to Olivia Watson. I've nicknamed, I said to her that, you're in the same league as Kyla Britton.
Yeah.
No, look, it's been really positive, and I've had a few people reach out on socials and say how much they enjoyed it. And I asked Dad if he'd listened to it, and he said yes, but he's like, it's a bit weird listening to your own voice on a podcast. And I said,
he's so
old school.
Look, I guess, from my perspective, again, there's probably not a great deal of people that probably had really heard too much about Steve. And it's, something that we've spoken about as a team that, we want to, throughout our podcast series, be able to tell some stories that have never been told. And I think this is, that's the epitome of what we're really trying to do. So I mean, for me, I put it down in probably one of our top 3 productions. So I'm really happy with how it came out.
That's a good story. Yep.
I mean, a lot's been happening, guys, and there's lots coming up. So I'd say we just start getting stuck into it. So to kick things off, obviously for us, big few weeks as we wrapped up the second state titles for Bodyboarding Vic, back down in Warrnambool again. Absolute stunning part of the world down here in southwest Victoria. I mean, again, it's a swell magnet kind of location. There's always going to be waves. Probably a little bit unlucky this year in terms of winds, but in saying that, we still had swell both days. We did move from one beach to another in order to make sure we got the best conditions for the finals day. Chris, do you want to give us a bit of a wrap-up of what went down in Warrnambool, including everything that happened at the Wales on the Friday night?
It was a very there was a bit going on that weekend. Like even at the start with when we came down and poor blokes that were staying with us that had a car accident, literally
50 metres from the front door.
Shout out to Kyle Anderson and Nathan Clark.
Yeah, so that was pretty big. When you hear a crash and you're in the lounge room, you look down and
it's your mates.
Shane rings up and goes, "Is that you, Clarky?" And he's like, "Yep." Okay. Yep. So, look, the Warrnambool community was really receptive to having us down there, and big shout out to Adam Williams for all the work he put in, social media star, on the newspaper, the whole thing. But
speaking of which,
he did stitch me up with a little video news presentation. But
is it true you drove 2 hours to Warrnambool? Did an interview with Channel 7?
It wasn't Channel 7. It was a local news. Local news. Team, yep. 2
hours back, so a 4 hour round trip. How many seconds do you get on the news, mate?
It's less than 1. Oh. It's a 0.
Head fit for podcasting.
I'm
didn't know you had it.
I'm not.
Don't they know who you are?
I'm not sure if that was a staunch move by Adam, just to make a statement that, hey mate, this is my town. But no. Look, it's fine. Mate, it worked out well. I had a good trip down there with my wife and kids anyway, and it was obviously good to catch up with Adam.
Is that a tear rolling? I can see a tear rolling.
Tears. No, I kind of had to catch up with Adam anyway, just to run through some stuff before the event. But like you said, Watto, Adam Williams, holy shit. Like, mate, that man is a working machine. Mate, he's the biggest cog in our organisation from an operational point of view at the moment.
You said cog.
I take my hat off to Adam, mate. We're obviously really, really lucky to have a guy with his experience and skill set working with Bodyboarding Vic. Mate, let's clone him. That's all I can say.
Even to him and his partner and his kids for cooking the
absolutely.
Barbie. Big shout out for that too. So we're well fed. I'll tell you what, that was some good bacon and egg rolls we had there. So.
Can't have a bodyboarding event without B&Es, mate.
A couple of the highlights from the event. So we split it up again like years before, where we did the finals on the Sunday. We did all the qualifying on the Saturday to try and make use of it. And the old Logan's paddle out / duck diving frenzy happened again.
6 to 8 foot Logans, pretty straight, closing out on the bank. It was a fun time out there, wasn't it, Watto? To a point that we had a heat together in the Masters, and you had the inside track, and you were paddling pretty hard, and I started paddling as well, and I thought, nah, he's on this one, and I backed off, and then you gave me a nod to take off. You thought it was a free surf session. I don't know what was going through you.
This is not a Chris Watson, I know.
No, he's not. He's lost his competitive drive. That is for sure.
I'll tell you what was impressive about that. That is no joke the worst heat I've ever surfed in my entire life.
Did you catch a wave that heat? Or did you give them all to me?
Yeah. I caught a wave on the way back. I've got a piece of whiteboard. When you get a 1 point heat total, you're really kicking down. Yeah, no, it wasn't my finest hour. So yeah, we did all right. But that heat was that was the shocker of the day. I think the highest score, like heat total, was 7.5 or something.
Yeah, it wasn't great. But we've got a big
Three.
shout out to all the winners.
Yep.
The juniors, Lucas Byford. The women's, Lyndall Jucker. The men's, Dave Warren. DK, Dane Pope again. Masters, Luke Werty. Do you know much about Luke Werty?
Not too much. I think he lives up in Geelong. He knows him and Popey.
Yeah, he's from
pretty well.
he's from Coffs Harbour. I had Dion Myers texting me going, "Oh, you had a heat with Werty, with Wookie." He said with Wookie, and I'm like, "Who the fuck's Wookie?" And he goes, "Yeah, no, he's from up, but he Coffs Harbour." So,
Mate, we are the state of ringing.
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
I was gonna say Betty was gonna make a comment when he was doing the briefing at the state titles, and he goes, "Oh, that'll offend the New South Wales contingent." I said, "Be careful. We've got a large contingent from New South Wales
Yes.
at the moment."
And there's a lot of dark alleys in Warrnambool. So,
yeah, but they've all got fake turf down there.
they do.
Yeah.
And then Grandmasters, Nath Clark backing up again. And the Opens, just a little young fella, Chris Watson. You didn't get a wave in the Masters, mate, but you've won the Opens. What the hell's going on?
Is this tactical genius?
This is when a plan goes completely haywire.
You've done the Mark Britton in Warrnambool. You've bombed out of the Masters and you've won the Opens.
Yeah, I had every intention of doing all right in the Masters.
I was going to say, where do you prefer? Like, obviously, they're both Masters and Opens are both pretty competitive fields at the moment. Like, who would you much prefer to be kind of beating? Is it beating your mates, like coming up against? Obviously, Marky's not here this year, but coming up against Shane, do you just want to, bury him, or where do you?
No.
He was inviting me onto waves. He didn't want to bury me.
I just think that was a brain fade on Watto's part.
Yeah.
It will never happen again.
No. Look, like as Shane said, I think we talked about this a little bit, but my competitiveness for bodyboarding at the moment's gone to an all-time low. So I'm happy to it's actually quite nice being in this frame of mind because you just paddle out, you get a couple of waves, you just like whatever. But yeah, I was lucky in the final to get a couple of. I think I got 2 waves. I think over the whole comp, I reckon I got a grand total. Probably 6 waves that were scored. So let's just say I was pretty frugal on the wave catching. But like even that final, I think I caught 3 waves at the flume, and they happen to be 3 pretty reasonable waves. So
flume or granny? We were at grannies, I think.
Grannies.
On the Sunday.
Oh, no, it was flume.
It was flume?
Yeah.
it was flume.
Yeah. Highlight for the weekend, Watto?
Watching the juniors final, so
That was the one at Logan's.
yes,
Yeah, because we had 2
Yeah, the split final.
Yep.
yeah. So when those 2 paddled out,
Yep.
I don't know.
Ray and Lucas Byford.
They paddled down the beach a bit, and they paddled onto a peak, and there was you and me and Luke Werdy, and I think Redfern was in that heat where we had the very sort of low tide scores.
Challenging
and then
conditions.
the juniors go out, and I swear that I think they got 8 waves each.
Yeah, and in those conditions, that's nuts.
And it was pretty high scoring as well. They were getting 7s and 8s, and I think it was I don't remember which one it was, but one of them took off, dropped in, and got shacked, and then pulled out the end of it. And it was pretty sick. So look, that and just all the sort of teamwork that goes into it. That's always a massive highlight for me. So catching up with everyone, having a feed at the Whalers. Yeah, no, that was really good. What about you guys?
Shane?
My dance moves at the Irish.
Oh, they were. They were questionable.
Benny, yours?
I'm so disappointed I wasn't there.
You'd be
for
sad.
that. Yeah. Because you know me, I'm never one to be outdanced. Mate, for me, it's kind of everything rolled into one. Obviously, yeah, there was some pretty spectacular heats. I guess one thing that I'm really enjoying about with bodyboarding, Vic, is just the progression. It genuinely is getting better. Like across all of our divisions, like watching, you know, all of the winners from the second state title, like absolutely tearing it to shreds. And that's, you know, that's from the juniors. That's all the way up through opens as well. Like I love watching Lyndall surf in the women's. Like I can't wait to see her, you know, represent bodyboarding Vic at the nationals this year. Fingers crossed she's fighting fit to take that on. But then Popey, like how lucky are we to have one of the greatest drop knee artists in the country. Just, you know, you were looking at Logan's on that Saturday, right? When they had their first one. Oh, sorry, Sunday? Sunday, I think.
Sunday.
Yeah.
No, they had one at Saturday at Logan's and the second one on the Sunday at Flume. But, you know, the wave face was so choppy and he was like a hot knife to butter. It was ridiculous just how smooth his wave riding technique is on the knee. It's spectacular.
That wave he got where he was, I don't know where he got all that speed from, but he was like pinning down the line. He said to me later, he's like, "Oh, I realised it was starting to barrel."
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
right. That was right in front of me as I was paddling out for the Grand
Yeah,
Masters.
I think I was in the dying seconds of this heat.
Yeah. And then he's like, I was going to try and duck in, but I had too much speed. And I think he went for a big float and then just silky smooth. Like, it was impressive.
Yeah, but again, for me, just watching everyone progress, and then, yeah, obviously working alongside the rest of our committee.
Yeah, there was a couple of other good highlights, I thought. That wave of Rui's.
Rui,
Into a closeout. Dan Redfern.
He got pumped.
Yeah, Dan Redfern had a similar, which was a great photo.
Yeah, Rodney Harris is just...
He caught some really good moments.
Yeah, he's doing a great job behind the lens for us.
Yeah, and the other thing I thought, having the whole Con family, who are sort of Warrnambool stalwarts with bodyboarding down there. Rex, their dad, used to run the club down there, and Trent and Luke, you know, both, you know, competitors. Luke's back from overseas at the moment. Trent was competing.
He's doing really well too.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, again, just overall, really, really successful event. Obviously, from moving forward for us, I think probably within the next month we'll try and lock in a date for our club presentation. So I think,
Yep.
But yeah, some other stuff that we'll talk about later on as well. Yeah, I mean, from a kind of domestic event perspective, another kind of prominent event just wrapped itself up with Boxfest.
Yeah, Boxfest, yeah.
Again, looks like they got some good waves and some really, familiar names kind of popping up on the podium.
Yeah, Groms, Hardy Fletcher won that event. Juniors, Anthony Miller, who's the Cronulla
kid local.
That just got invited to Shark Island. So,
which is epic.
Yeah. I know Desert Emerald's a big rap for him. So, cadets, Jackson Cruikshank, the legacy continues out of Newey.
Johnny Jr.
And
Junior, right?
the elite division, Josh Cleve. What's the elite division? I haven't heard that.
It's the elite.
That's like open. Oh, that's like...
it's like a pro division, isn't it? I think.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, right. Well, they've got an opens division as well. So, DK, Ben Coleman, women's, Lily Pollard, who again has been invited to Shark Island. Masters, Rick James.
The POV king.
Surely Rick James, his nickname's Super Freak because...
Mate, well, he is. If anyone's follows Rick on socials, like, he surfs so well. And, yeah, the POV, obviously we've got our own POV god down here in Jacques Leroux. But to me, Rick is... I mean, he's one of the best in the country with his POV stuff.
And then we got Grandmasters, Wade Borey.
Yep.
Who I've competed with him up in that end wedge comp. What was that? The D-bar.
Yeah, 2019 AVA event.
Wade won the Masters at
Nationals. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And opens Paul Klassen. well done to everyone.
Yeah.
Just a quick one on that. I just saw a clip last night. I was cruising through Insta, and Hardy Fletcher ripping, throwing ARSs around.
Yeah, I
all
saw
over the
some of that
shop.
stuff. That was sick.
Yes.
But again, obviously, plenty more big kind of domestic events on the Australian calendar this year. Only seems to be getting better here. It's great. Hopefully at some stage we can just amalgamate these and turn them into some big giant national project. We good?
Yeah.
So big kudos to all the guys behind BV state titles and Boxfest. Moving on. It's now April. Geez, the year's going by fast.
Yes.
First quarter done. Be almost tax time before you know it. But April always brings, some interesting things into the environments. April Fools being one of the more prominent, and some big things in bodyboarding happened around the April Fools period. Probably the biggest and almost most controversial to a degree was the announcement of Kobe Aberton as a competitor for the Shark Island Challenge.
Well done to Riptide.
Well done to the boys at Riffy.
Well, the best thing about that was it was actually a week before April Fools. They dropped it out a little bit early.
Yeah.
And one of you guys dropped it into our little chat group that we've got going, and I went, what?
Yeah, it was.
And I was looking around everywhere trying to find it, and apparently they deleted it within an hour. I think the first time they put it up. And I was going, what the hell's going on? I fell for it straight away because it.
Mate, you were not the only one. No. Boy, oh boy.
It got some tongues wagging. Like, it got plenty of conversation going. It was a good promotional piece. I'll take my hat off to them.
Tell you what, would have got a few beads of sweat running off the heads of a few people, I'm sure. I'm not sure if I'm offending or promoting Kobe Aberton here, but he's probably not the kind of guy you want to get on the wrong side of, being one of the OG bra boys.
Especially for an event being held in Shark Island, in Cronulla.
In his backyard. But, again, touche.
No, it was great.
Touche.
It was pretty funny.
And then, the next...
in Phones, they had their little April Fool's Day prank as well, saying the PIF invested in the IBC, which was...
I mean, we can only hope, right?
Yeah, well,
I think at this stage, bodyboarding would take dirty money if they needed to.
Take any money. If there's a cartel out there that's willing to invest, I'm sure the IBC would take it about now.
Accepting proposals via the Closeout Bodyboarding socials. Attention, Ben. Attention, Ben. So, I mean, that is just good banter. I love it. And, it's a bit of a breath of fresh air, right? It's a bit of tomfuggery, bit of fun, adding a bit of positive energy back into things, which is sensational. Because as we all know, there's still a bucket load of dark cloud negative stuff surrounding the sport.
Speaking of which, and I don't know if we're going to talk about it later or talk about it now, but Kingy's clip about the Shark Island.
We'll get to it. We'll get to it.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of the Shark Island, Benny, there's been a few. Well, I think they've actually announced the entire field of 20 so far.
Yeah, mate, it's massive. And mate, there is some genuine quality bodyboarders in this event. And I mean, God hopes that this thing all comes together and every star aligns and
they get the swell.
That's
and the tide.
We just want it all to come together for you boys, because if you guys can pull this event off, this is going to send absolute shockwaves through bodyboarding on an international level. I mean, geez, they almost should have run it on the weekend. I mean, Cronulla just had their first club round at the island.
Yeah, Cronulla Bodyboard Club ran their first round, and they got pumping waves out at Shark Island.
Benny Sawyer, who is one of the confirmed entries for the SIC. I just saw some of his shots. Well, I'm pretty sure they were from the weekend, but mind-blowing.
Yeah.
So
So who have we got? Who's been announced? What do we?
Okay. So in no particular order, there's a really good mix of kind of local guys, international guys, and domestic as well. Sean Pine.
Yep. So local.
Yep. The Fever. Dave Winchester. Obviously, plenty of experience out there at the islands. Harley Ward.
Tassie legend.
Yep. No stranger to big right-handers.
No.
With steps. Mike Stewart.
Who?
Yeah,
that guy.
That guy. Yep.
That young up-and-coming fella.
Yeah.
The
goat, the godfather. Mate, more world titles than you can wave a stick at. I mean, how old is he now? 50 what?
No, he's 60.
He looked 50. See, I'm flattering him.
He hasn't got any grey hairs because he's
shaved it off. So Mike Stewart is 60 years old, mate, and he's still charging harder than he ever has. I mean, 2-3 weeks ago down at Shippies, just getting solid ones.
Was he?
You didn't see this?
No, I haven't seen that. I've seen old footage of him at Chiffies, but I haven't seen.
I think it was new footage. Pretty sure it was new footage.
Okay.
Could be wrong. Anyway.
Yeah, I think it was new footage.
Really? Okay.
But yeah, it looked insane. Mate, he hasn't missed a step. Jared Houston, Lecker Brew. Yeah. Obviously one of the greatest exports out of SA. Also, PLC is confirmed.
PLC on his new brand.
Yeah. Love to know more about this. But,
ask no questions, get no lies.
Yeah, touche. I tell you, we're not even halfway through the list here, fellas. And, I mean, how many world titles we got combined? Pretty phenomenal. It's Hannah McDaniel. You beauty. And then...
current world champ.
Yep.
Not currently competing, I've seen.
No.
On the IBC, I believe.
No.
So...
Questions.
Who on this list is actually competing on the IBC now? There's not many.
I'm going to say none.
No. Toby Player's in?
Maybe Steph. Steph might be the only one that's on the tour at the moment. But Toby Player's there. Louis Finnegan is there. Jace Finlay is there.
Jace Finlay, South Coast legend.
Well, technical World Tour rider based off first event. Jacob Romero.
No, I don't think so. I think he's already made an announcement that
he's not going to keep going.
Yeah,
he's not going to follow. Yeah.
Well, that's fair.
After the first round.
Yeah,
so
we'll talk about that.
He said it's not quite worth his while.
And then from Portugal, we've got Steph. Is it Cocorales? I think so. Cocorales.
You say it.
Yeah. I hope I pronounced that right. Anthony Miller. So again, another local, young,
16-year-old, I believe.
Yep.
And as I said before, Desi's a big rap for him. So he said he's killing it out there. So that'll be interesting in amongst this, field of legends.
Yep. Liam Lucas is there. The big curly-haired blonde boy. Looking forward to seeing him out there. And then again, another local in Benny Sawyer. Andrew Lester is going to be there.
How many times has he won it in the past?
I don't know. Yeah. I haven't done enough research on this, but I mean, he's got a big trophy cabinet, put it that way. Mickey Osler.
Another Sif Ifrican.
Another Safa. Jack Baker is going to be there. And I think the last one wrapping this up is Lily Pollard.
The second woman to be invited, I believe.
And
Kira Llewellyn being first.
And look, well deserved.
Yep.
I mean, if there's anyone, from Oz.
She lives locally as well there.
That should be in this event. It's Lily. And
hang on.
What?
If there's anyone that should be in this event.
Oh.
You've...
I need to clear my throat here, gentlemen.
Isn't there anyone else that apparently should be in this event?
You misunderstood what I was getting at there. But yes, newsflash. There was a little clip that came up on socials the other day by a pretty well-known bodyboarding entity, a guy, with a couple of world titles.
Three world titles.
Yep.
Polishing his trophy.
Yep.
I thought it was great.
Yep. Looking fit.
Looking fit. Unbelievably fit, actually.
Yep.
For his age. So, well done, Damien King. That was, as I alluded to in the little opener with Watto, I thought it was a great clip. And, if you're going to put your credentials out there, there's no one better, really, to have done that.
The Joker.
Yep.
Continues to joke.
Please tell me he submitted it in the trials video, because that's all he needs.
That's all he needs.
But that's the thing, though. There's a certain criteria for the trials, and whether he's got that fresh footage, he could come up against that. So That's not to say he's not invited, but I mean, that's not to say like someone like, Tamega, who's won the comp 3 times and has, 6 world titles and all that as well. So there's other people that have the same criteria, and how the criteria is put together for the people that are chosen for the event. I'm not sure how that's done, but that's the problem with this event. It's invitational, and there's plenty of worthy people out there, whether they be locals, past winners, just past big wave, champions as well. So
unfortunately, can't please everyone.
No, but I mean, it gives excitement for next year. Like you'd think Kingy will definitely be in next year.
Yeah.
But that's not to say he's not going to be in this year. So yeah.
But again,
you look at the hype on socials around it though. Like everyone, everywhere that clip was posted, and got reshared as stat. Like Riptide, Beat Bodyboarding, like a whole heap of different places shared it, and everyone's like, just give the man a spot. Like it was unanimous. Like everyone, give him a slot in there, and I think he's very deserving. And I think it's really good that they've also. I like the fact that they've pulled in some of the Groms. Maybe a few more Groms in there would be good, but it's an invitational. That's exactly the point. You sort of, I guess they've got their own sort of understanding, and we don't know who's won the trials yet.
No. Like we said, that's an amazing list they've got on paper right now, and I mean, you could pick another 20 guys and girls that you think should be in there, but mate, an event's an event. You gotta stick to your guns.
I was told a new entry went in for the trials yesterday.
Okay.
Brad Stone.
Yeah, there you go.
Coming back from back surgery very, very quickly.
Too soon.
Too
soon.
I've said to him, you sure, mate? I don't know about this. This is, but he is super keen. He's whacked an entry in.
Yeah. Wow.
Doing a lot of recovery work with his brother Jake up on the sunny coast. Doing everything right apparently. So he said he's still 2 to 3 weeks away from being in the water, but has put his hat in the ring, and can't take that away from the bloke. He's super passionate right now. So
watch this space.
Yes.
The other person I thought you were going to say that's put in for the trials is old Andy Atkinson from down here, I reckon now.
The problem is he doesn't film. Dean Orford doesn't film, he just takes abstract photos.
Oh, mate. Big shout out to those guys. I know they're big fans of our potty, and also good friends of ours. Big shout out Acco and Dino. All right, so again, lots to look forward to for the Shark Island Challenge 2024. So watch this space as we, look to probably lock in the rest of those trial entries and see the final field.
Yeah, well, talking of events, a few things have sort of popped up on socials and that lately as well, and one that Watto might be able to come and give us a little bit more info on is little thing that Clayton Pickworth put up there, Watto. DKS versus Bodyboarding Victoria Urban Surf event. What can you tell us, mate?
Picky, myself, and a few others been working on an event in late August where we've rented the pool out for 3 hours, and we're going to have Bodyboarding Vic on one side of the pool, and we're going to have DKS on the other side of the pool. So 2 events running at the same time. And then afterwards I'll catch up for a beer or 2, which will be quite good. So, it's super exciting to have that much bodyboarding in one place, and even a little bit of a sneaky spoiler, we're going to have the South Australian blokes come over as well and jump in on the outside. So, Japs and a few of the boys, Jasper Ashmore and a few others will come over. So I'm super excited about it.
I tell you what, if Dylan Beach does not make this event, as in does not come across for this event, he's no longer...
He's on it like a 8-month
honeymoon.
Yeah,
he won't be getting a Christmas card from me if he doesn't show up this time. On saying that...
How was the wedding, Ben?
It's a great question, mate.
Oh, you didn't know.
Well, I wasn't invited.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. Plus, you know what, mate? I did have the Bodyboarding Vic state titles to attend.
Dylan won't want to show his face in Victoria
Yeah,
if you weren't invited to that.
Priorities. My priorities are with bodyboarding Vic, not with you, Dylan. Yeah, there you go. I've said it there first on the Closeout Bodyboarding podcast. But mate, I do have some questions for you, Watto. What can you tell us about? I know Pico's doing probably a majority of the work for the DKS side of things, but is there a bit of a format for what they're trying to do with this event? Are they going to be swapping sides, so they're doing rights and lefts, or are they sticking to one? How's it going to work?
No, there's going to be swap sides, so there's going to be some changeover in between that time frame. So an hour on the left, an hour on the hour on the right. We haven't finalised the format as such. We're still sort of almost done, but we haven't completely finalised it. But definitely on the BV side, there'll be 18 spots open in the free surfing hour we've got in the middle.
How many?
It'll be open to the public to come and watch?
Yep, absolutely. So, I hope everyone can get around it to see some of the best drop knees around. And some absolutely amazing prone riders on the other side all at the same time will be pretty epic to watch.
So how many hours is this one running, mate? Is it a couple of hours each side? How long's the total booking for the event?
3 hours. So we've got the pool for 3 hours.
Cool.
So,
and did I hear there might be a live podcast recording happening at this event? Is this true?
Yeah, I think we might be able to pull something off. What do you reckon, Shane?
Sounds good.
Looks a little shocked.
Great.
Yeah, I reckon
I was more thinking about the party afterwards, but that's going to be big as well, I'd say.
Not sure we should live stream that one.
No.
Maybe we could do a bit of a commentary. We could do the...
we could sit up in a booth above the party.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say the Closeout live, and we could do a bit of commentary on it.
And last but not least, mate, for anyone wanting further info on this, where do they go, mate?
So follow DKS on their socials and then the Bodyboarding Vic socials as well.
For the Bodyboarding Vic part, will you need to be a member?
Yeah.
So it's open to all members of Bodyboarding Vic.
Yeah. So more details to come probably in the next couple of weeks. So you'll see the really cool graphic as well, which I think is going to look pretty sick on a black hoodie on the back of it with the pool party logo. So super excited about it and super excited to see so much bodyboarding in one spot. And I mean, August will be pretty heavy with bodyboarding anyway because we've got the national titles, and then after that we've got the DKS BV pool party, and then the week after is DKS in September. So
Shane, is it true that we're going to see a new sponsorship logo on the DK Sessions banners for the next 3 years?
Yes. Limited Edition has agreed to sponsor the DKS for the next 3.
Wow.
Kind of excited. Picky sort of approached us after last year's event, looking for sort of, something long term. So, we're pretty excited about that. I think we're going to do some ATTICA sponsorship as well, definitely for the pool party.
Yeah. I was going to say, we're kicking the...
I think there's a few guys from up north that may want a little bit of rubber coverage. So we'll see how that goes.
I did see Ducky testing the waters on the Urban Surf Bodyboarders page, and he's like, how old is it going to be?
I believe Lackey's already heading up to Michael Jennings' ice bath in his,
for prep.
Garage.
Well, as I said on the Urban Surf Bodyboarders, we're going to get a whole heap of kettles and just fill the pool. We're going to have a kettle party.
Oh, wow.
Mate, that's huge. I mean, what else do we need? Is there any other stuff we need to talk about with the pool? I mean, Urban Surf in Sydney is not that far away from opening their doors, right?
Very close.
Yeah.
I did listen to a little the Riptide potty. Shout out to Luke.
Lukey did it. And he's doing a great job.
Yeah, did a great interview with Sean Hutchinson, which I believe, do you know Sean well, Chris?
I do.
They gave you a little bit of a shout out, and Bodyboard and Vic a bit of a shout out on their potty. So well done, Watto.
Pretty stoked about that. And Sean does ride a booger.
Yeah.
So,
lefts,
yeah.
I hear. Prefers the lefts.
Yeah, loves the left. So let's be honest, the left's the best leg in the pool.
The left is the best.
So once again, big shout out to Lukey O'Connor. He's doing a spectacular job with the Rippy Potty. Yeah, mate. Big fan of what you're doing, mate. Keep up the good work.
And I believe as well they're going to replicate Boogie Night in Sydney as well.
Yeah, which would be a great opportunity for really Maroubra is close by, Cronulla close by. Like there's a couple of local clubs there that would really do well and benefit that. And there's obviously, you got the Sydney Board Rider Bodyboard Club.
Yeah.
And there's a new club down Wollongong way. What's that?
I think they're just called Wollongong.
No, it's Lukey was mentioning it. The Coal Coast.
Coal Coast.
Rider bodyboarders. So there's a few opportunities for all that crew to sort of get involved with the Boogie Nights and that up in Sydney.
And then the state of origin next year. What do you reckon, boys?
Hey.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Hey, one last thing to mention about Urbn Surf. I think a big thing for one of our bodyboarding Vic members is Jacques Leroux is now the new poster boy for Urbn Surf.
In the toilets.
In the toilets.
So he's taking... What was the dartboard drawing on him?
Who was it? I swear I saw a number written on there with a Sharpie.
Oh, wow.
He's taken over from Mark Britton because they need the new winter.
Mate, they needed a new pretty boy. And Jacques Leroux got the nod from the top dogs, so he's the new...
I actually said to him, because Mark did the same thing, I'm going... What's with the big smile?
Yeah.
You're in the barrel with a big smile. That's very unbodyboarder.
Yeah.
What's going on, mate? And he goes, they actually tell them to do
ask
that.
Me to smile.
Do you know what's even funnier about that is Urbn Surf, like everyone whinges about how cold it is in winter, but it stays so warm during summer and it's more than capable of wearing boardies in there. And when they did the shoot, Jacques was telling me it was like 23 degrees, and because they were doing an autumn shoot, they had to wear full wetsuits. And Jacques reckons it was just like he was sweating up a storm in there. But Jacques also had, I don't know if you boys saw it, but in the wave pool mag, he got a write up as well.
Sure did.
Getting a bit of promotion on to Mr. Leroux.
There's a wave pool mag.
Yeah.
Really?
Mate, Leroux, he's a big deal. Big deal.
He's a big deal.
But mate,
he's the king.
He's put the work
King of
in.
Talawadu.
Yeah, mate.
Talawadu.
Give credit where credit's due, mate. You for a long time were that guy at the pool, Watto. Like Jacques has long since overtaken you as the king of the pool.
Jacques always smashed me. I was never king of the pool. Jacques has always been.
Mate, obviously, the reigning Surfing Vic Tradie Challenge winner. And again, the content king for POV at the pool.
Yes.
It's like the modern day Mike Stewart's view stuff, just on smaller scale. But
LaRue's view.
Yeah, LaRue's view. There you go.
I was going to say we've got a sort of little niche market in bodyboarding at the moment with POV footage. So you've got like Dan LaShawn, you've got Jacques.
You got Rick James. Yep, Rick James.
Rick James. You've got Tim Lee as well, who surfs on the left at Urbn that posts a lot of POV footage. There's Tim looks after the left, Jacques looks after the right. So there's a lot of POV going there.
Pond Scum.
Mitchy Curtin up on the GC as well, who surfs with Dan quite a bit.
Yes, Mitch Curtin.
Yeah, he puts together some good POV content. All right, moving on. New film projects. Lobster, a South Sumatran surf odyssey. It's filmed by Sam Rutherford, edited by Dan Baker, starring an all-star cast. Some blokes you know really well from your team, Shane.
Yes, Michael Novey, Chase O'Leary, and Jones Russell. So, it was a little trip the boys did late last year. But they got back and I said, how'd you go? And they're like, oh, no, we kind of got skunked. And, they'd been, Jones and Chase had been a couple of years prior and had cleaned up and just had, the best 2 weeks of their lives type of thing. And got back from this one and went, and Sam had filmed that. And they got back from this one and went, I just don't think we've got anything. But we put it in the hands of, they put it in the hands of Daniel Baker, editor from Newcastle. And the project turned out amazing. But yeah, you can find that on our limited edition YouTube channel. And get in there if you're looking for some fresh bodyboard action.
Fresh bodyboard action.
Yeah, why not?
That
sounds a bit French.
It's weird when you start typing lobster into Facebook and see what comes up.
Fresh lobster action.
But Shano and I recapped watching that again last night. I mean, for us, as I guess your average Joe bodyboarders looking at that looks like it
was pumping.
Looks like a pretty pumping surf trip.
Wow.
If we got that on every surf trip we went on, we'd be pretty happy. All right, so next big topic, folks. We've been talking about this on a lot of our podcast episodes of late. Unfortunately, not in such a glorious light, but the IBC. Obviously, they have done and dusted with the first event for the year.
Take us out.
Goes on tight. Bless you. Would you like a...
We've been lagging on this one a little bit too. We haven't really got to it because we've been together a couple of times but haven't had a chance to podcast. So
put our thoughts into audio.
Yeah. We have actually discussed it at length and sat there together and watched it. But this is the first time we've actually had a chance to discuss it on the potty. So and we definitely think it's still worth covering, even though it's probably a month old. Because it brings up a lot of interesting points and questions and just to know what's going on with, World Tour competitive bodyboarding.
Yeah. So, look, interesting coverage for the event. It seemed to be a little bit scaled back to what we had seen from a digital.
It was very scaled back, I thought.
From a digital
no drones.
Perspective.
Couple of locked off camera on the commentators, locked off camera on the sort of competitor interview area. Only really one live camera from the peak, and they had like a kind of a locked off camera on the end section. It was. I'm not going to be critical about that because honestly, that's probably enough. If it saves them money, if it allowed them to
pay the riders,
cover their past debts with some riders, which I believe that's all being taken care of now. So I'm definitely not going to be critical of the coverage at all. I think the coverage was still really good. It was a little bit hazy, but I think that's the spray.
Sea mist,
the sea mist and that.
But probably can I just bring up one thing that if you are going to scale it back and make it, I understand there's financial constraints and all the rest of it, but if you're going to scale it back and bring it back, do a really good job of that. And there was some bits that I thought were lagging of it, but interestingly, I didn't look this up, and I apologise for not doing my research, but was that event like a 4-star or something like that? Was that a less star than some of the other events? Like, do you know if they had less prize money?
Not that I'm aware of.
I believe it was just a straight out World Tour event, and everything was sort of up to scratch.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, because they would have saved a stack of money by pulling back those extra bits and pieces on the live stream.
Yeah. But a few takeaways. I guess start with the positive. The big positive is the World Tour is still going.
Yes.
That's what we want to see. We don't want to see this thing demise because if this fails, then it cripples the rest of the bodyboarding industry to a degree.
Yeah. And there's no one there nothing. No. The three of us are fairly hooked into everyone, and we're not hearing of any whispers of anyone thinking of here we go, $60,000. So
$60,000 prize pool for Morocco event. It was, a top tier event. So
which is the same as the Chile event. So just looking at that,
So they
what
got
was
some
the
from
split?
So in prize money, for men was $30K US. Prize money for women's was $20K US, and then $10K US for juniors. So I mean, it's still not on par with equal pay, which obviously again is something that we know from an Australian standpoint. We couldn't do this in Australia unless it was equal pay.
Yeah.
But
Can we explain that further? Because it does sound like that's just the three of ours opinion, that which is not the case.
Yes,
There's
no.
a reason why in Australia it has to be that way. So can you explain that?
Well, someone that can explain a little bit better than me is
Someone on the Surfing
someone that sits on the board of
Victoria.
directors for Surfing Victoria, Chris Watson. Thanks for joining us.
Look, surfing as a whole was one of the first sports, and I think the first surfing event globally to have equal prize money for men and women was in Australia. And you would have seen the bit of social media commentary around Lucy Small in a Mel comp, I reckon it was probably 3-4 years ago, where there was a distinct difference. And look, it's something that mandated by Surfing Australia, and I think it's the right thing to do. Like, I personally, it's one of my beliefs that everyone's treated equally and everyone is paid equally. And look, if we ever did do an IBC event, I'm not going to say we would, but if we did ever have that sort of event, that would be a very key thing for the riders to be equally compensated. So I don't think it's a gripe I've personally got with the IBC of how they segregate that, but that's how they run their events. We run events differently.
I think that's an interesting point again that in the Spocko podcast last episode, but your old man brought up that bodyboarding had sort of been let down by not chasing women participants.
100%.
That was one of his thoughts of why bodyboarding's kind of where it is now, because a lot of the girls just went to surfing instead, which makes total sense. I thought that was a really interesting point he brought up at the time.
Even now, you look at we talk about Urbn a bit, but you look at some of the programs they do, the Surf and Sip, where they fill it every month with just girls surfing in the lineup.
Yeah, similar to what we do with Bodyboarding Vic.
Yeah, or Surf Her Way, Surfing Vic initiative. That's always got large engagement, and it's something we don't really cater for at bodyboarding. It's something I'm trying to work on at the moment with some coaches to try and get that. We talk about grassroots. We talk currently we've got a bunch of, pretty much the demographic in a lot of our events is middle-aged men that were riding bodyboards 20, 30 years ago. We need to try and get some new blood into the sport and get some more numbers and some bumps on seats. So if we can make it more accessible, I think it would go a long way. But yeah, I completely digress from what we're talking about.
Yeah. Well, going back, still talking about women though, and going back to the IBC event, you had Sari O'Hara and Luna Hardman in the final. Sari's been around a while, and she's last year's World Tour champ, I believe. And Luna is quite young. I think she's only like 17, 18. So it's sort of the two sort of ends of the scale there, and having great women, chasing the World Tour and a championship as well.
One other thing from Morocco as well, we had an Australian female entry. So Ebony Shield competed in this as well. Her first IBC event. So shout out to Ebony. Well done for going over there. And it's fantastic to see the women being represented by an Australian. So I've surfed with Ebony a number of times at the Nationals. But yeah, really, really cool to see her getting out and about and competing in these things.
Yeah, well, going back to the coverage as well, they had Joey Morton on as commentator, which was great. Had some really insightful sort of things to say about, he seems to know everyone really well on the tour.
Yeah. I mean, he's done time. He's done his time.
Yeah.
And bilingual?
Multilingual,
Yeah,
I think.
multilingual, yeah. He's man of the people. He
seems to know exactly what was going on. And
man of the people. But yeah, I mean, again, just touch a little bit more on some of those takeaways. Shane, again, you mentioned before, there are a few exclusions from the World Tour kind of program this year. Probably the biggest is the fact that Tanner McDaniel
he's
on tour.
Stepped back, which is unfortunate for the tour. But Tanner's going to do obviously what he thinks best for himself, his career, his sponsors. And I believe, when you look at him already, he's already doing Shark Island, and I believe he's spending a lot of time out here in Australia this year, from what I've been hearing. So I think there's quite a few crew that are coming out. I think Romero's coming out for a fair period of time, and, all the guys that are going to be competing in Shark Island, are going to spend a good month and a half, I think, in Australia, which is great for Australian bodyboarding as well.
Yeah, definitely.
So you look at it from that tour perspective. Tanner's gone, Ian Campbell's gone, Romero's gone. Who else am I missing?
Well, PLC didn't compete in that event.
Yep.
So, yeah, I guess due to that, there are, I guess, probably a lot of riders in the rankings that I guess a lot of people might not have heard of, that are, I guess, starting to show themselves as the new faces of sport at a international level. I mean, just look at the final. Gabriel Braga and Amide Solivares, I think, yep.
Yeah, I think when I was watching it, what I would have loved to see, and, IBC, please take this as constructive criticism.
Constructive feedback.
Yes.
Not criticism.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Well, I'd love to see when you've got a rider's name up, when they're in a heat, to say where they're coming from, what country of origin, because a lot of these young guys that are doing the tour at the moment, you got no idea which country they're from and all that stuff. And I'm sure it's a lot of the time it's mentioned in the commentary, but I think it'd be great just to be able to identify, what country a lot of those guys are from.
I think that'd be great. The other thing I'd like as well, but because I'm a bit of a nerd when it comes to this thing, but I want to see more breakdowns of like the 5 judges, what their scores were.
Yeah,
spreads.
Yeah, and announcing what the last wave was, because yes, if it doesn't go into their top 2, that's fine, but it'd be nice to know what they got for that wave.
There seemed to be a lot of lag with the scoring, especially in that men's final. And then when those scores came through, it was kind of hard to, from a consumer point of view, to figure out, hang on a minute, was the score, how did that come through? But yeah, I mean, I'd love to just.
What did we think of the judging? Just we sat there with a few other. When we were in Warrnambool, we had 6, of the crew all staying with us, and we all sat and watched a couple of heats.
Yeah.
What was your thoughts?
It was not.
Well, let's cover 2. We got 2 main heats. All right, we'll cover the Jacob Romero heat.
Yeah.
And we'll cover the final. How's that? So let's go have a look at. Or we'll cover Jacobs first. What was your thoughts on that, Watto?
I think his last wave was underscored. I think it was probably a full point higher. But the problem I got, and it's in both of them, they backed themselves into a corner and they ended up with a spread. But like you'd see single rolls that were getting scored 7-5 or 8-0s, and then they've got nowhere to go. And then you see a similar roll that might have been a 6-0 or a 5-5. And then there was combos. And yeah, Romero's wave was not a bigger wave, but
the first move was massive.
Yeah.
I think they were really critical. Like that roll.
Jacob was very outspoken about it after the event as well. So that's why, we've gone back and, it's been drawn to our attention. So,
yeah, I think like even the commentary for that wave in question for Jacob, it felt.
Well, Becker said that's his best wave.
Yeah.
And it was underscored. He had a previous. Yeah, he had a 5.95. So the judging should have been like a 6.5 at least.
Yeah.
And he got a 5.5 or something like that, 5.55. So it was the commentary does drive it as well, and is thinking exactly what we're all thinking at home, and then they're confused probably by the scores as well. What do you think of the final? So the final was Gabriel Braga and Amide Solivares. What did you think of the scale as it got towards the last 10 minutes of the heat?
Once again, they back themselves into a corner, and then all of a sudden they've got to drop the last score of the whole event. They haven't awarded one for the whole event. they award a 10 because they literally had nowhere else to go with the judging
So
scale.
this, again, as a recap, this is how it started. Amide's first wave, and it was a 2-flip combo with a roll.
Yep.
Right? So that's 3 aerial maneuvers on one wave. And it was a good wave. And, yes, it got an 8. So it's a good score.
Yep.
But then Gabrielle's first wave was a single maneuver wave.
Yep.
Was that the roll?
It was
That he claimed.
It was one roll. And it scored a 7.5.
Yep.
So this is exactly what you're talking about, Chris. The scale is so far off point. Like, what are you expecting of your riders to do? Like, and don't get me wrong, like a good clean roll is still a maneuver of a consequence. But in comparison to putting together a good combination on a wave, which obviously is part of the judging criteria, like it's pretty hard to kind of then get the motivation to go, okay, well, what else do I have to do here? And look, I'm not taking away Gabrielle's last wave. Like it was by far his best wave in the heat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, another wave of his in his heat, which was his second highest scoring wave, was an 8.5 for a single flip.
Yes.
So,
But that's because they left themselves because the other competitor had already upped the ante for him, and the scale just kept going up. Like to be honest, I thought it was a 20-minute heat or whatever. The first 10 minutes were judged all correctly. It was the last 10 minutes where it just
panic
went,
stations.
Yeah.
Yep.
Where they just left themselves nowhere to go.
They're like, we've got 2.5 point range to work with now because we've scored the roll 7.5. They should have taken pause around that roll and had a bit more discussion. And I don't know if they are. Like you said, it's taking ages for those scores to come through. Are they having those conversations? Are they, what sort of setups in the judging tower? If anyone knows, let us know. But have they got video review and all that sort of stuff? Have they got someone filming they can go back and say, well, was this wave better than the other one? And
all we can do here is, as spectators, mate, is speculate.
Well, the other thing that, we're looking at 2 heats. We're looking at the Jacob heat as well. And if you look at that heat as a comparison, the first couple of waves that Amori and Brahim got were a similar just one move roll on heavy waves, or probably heavier waves than what were in that final. They both got 6.5s.
Well, I think Brahim's was a single roll, and then Amori had his first wave was a roll, little barrel, like a little head dip, couple of spins.
And then his second wave was a one move. Yeah, similar. That was a 6.5. So both those waves got 6.5s. I think Jacob's wave that was similar got a 5.95. And then all of a sudden we're going to finals and seeing the same thing in smaller surf, and they're getting 8s, 8.5s. So it just, it doesn't make sense to us as viewers what the judging panel's doing.
The other thing I just want to bring up as well is the fact that, like, when you are judging, theoretically speaking, you shouldn't have any scores that are the same in that higher end range from 3, or let's say from, 2.5 onwards, right? To have 2.65s means you think that those waves are absolutely identical in that scale.
Yeah.
There should be some variation in, was one 6.5 better than the other? Is it a 6.8 or is it a 6.3? Like, you've got a full scale. Technically, you've got 100 points. They backed themselves into a corner. They had not much range to work with, and they gave a 10 out with 30 seconds to spin.
Yeah. Well, we're not the only, critics in Australia that have sort of, found it, a bit flabbergasting, the judging and that. And definitely Chad Jackson's been pretty vocal on his Grand Flavour.
Yeah, former World Tour bodyboarder himself, Chad's, obviously, yeah.
And the in-phone guys always have a good way of taking the piss, when they see something going wrong as well. So we're not the only sort of people, criticising. And I'm just wondering if the Australian view's a little bit different to the world view of the judging. And I brought a little clip in just for you boys to have a listen to from the commentary. with Joey Morton having a bit of an exchange with Beggar. So yeah, have a listen to this, guys, and just
let us know what you think.
Yeah,
both of these riders are riders that people could study their technique on different moves. Omori with just perfect spins and flow and air reverses, and Ademir just manages to gets launched off every single lip he hits and does backflips with perfect technique and really, really nice style. Yeah, both of these riders, for me at least, I have watched replays of their waves over and over again over the last few years. Ademir, I've also seen him trying some more out-of-the-box moves like stone flips. He has a few videos of him throwing some stone flips out at El Rancio in Chile, which is really cool because I don't see many riders doing that. That is a roll spin, so a roll ARS in one air, and Ademir has been landing them. They're coined by Jake Stone in competition maybe 10 years ago. Was the first time I saw one in competition, and so it'd be really cool this year to see if Ademir starts integrating some of those moves into competition as well, and just making the judges' lives even harder with trying to work out what he was just done. But he's really at the forefront of bodyboarding, I'd say, as a young guy.
Yeah, he loves to do that. I'm pretty sure that's in his head. But you know what? I will say, since it's his very first time, in with the possibility of having a podium, I will probably recommend him to try to innovate, but don't go too crazy because it's about, securing a spot there and getting, I mean, it's not just the glory, but it's the points and the money. There's a huge difference. We have $30,000 up for grabs.
So the point of me bringing that to your attention was, in my head, I'm actually wondering if Joey is sort of talking about what we all feel in Australia is what we want to see when we're watching an event.
Yeah, which is clean technical riding.
Yeah, and we want to see innovation. We want to see
progression,
the best possible, ridden ways we possibly can. And then Beggar, isn't it? Yeah, Beggar sort of makes the point of, oh no, just get to the heat, whatever you can, and
safe mode.
Yeah, and I'm actually wondering if that's what Chad Jackson's saying, what the Informed crew are saying,
what we're seeing,
that we want to see the best possible riders, ride to the best of their ability, and that's what we're asking when we watch, AFL footy, NRL, any sporting event. We just want to see the best we possibly can see.
And this is the World Tour, after all.
Yeah, absolutely. We're watching the World Tour, in our sport, and we're just asking to see the best we possibly can, and we're just wondering now.
I kind of feel like Joey was almost being told to pipe down.
It is. It's a really interesting exchange, I think, and I just thought it's really two worldviews sort of being spoken in a 2-minute period.
I'd 100% agree. It was, Joey wants to see progression, like we all do. I want to see progression. I want to see people hitting lips and trying different things. And then Beggar comes in and she's like, oh, well, they've got to be safe to make it to the next round. And you see a lot of that back in the day in some of the stand-up surfing. You see
it's that real building a house mentality, which is kind of boring. It's not like just go all out every time.
Well, I mean, bodyboarding's not test cricket.
No.
I feel like the IBC, I'm going to say it, IBC's stifling innovation with that sort of thought process. Like, we want to see big things. And once again, it comes back to marketing these events to get more bumps on seats, to get more engagement. You're going to watch, someone do 30 spins in the whitewash or do a massive flip and then go and do a couple of really average spins, like just to build the house and get it done.
Yeah, but there's that mindset of, we all know what, like we said, we've all done our fair share of judging. We all know what that safe structure is for building up a wave score. And, you said it perfectly. Spin to roll combo, right? Yep. Get a score on the board. Spin to roll combo.
Well, at the moment, that backflip is kind of where they see, the riders seem to have been taught that, a bit like Pavlov's dog, that they do the right thing and they get their score. And that's all they're trying to do at the moment is that, backflip, and they know what score they're going to get.
Yeah. The judging needs to reward progression, and it needs to reward the risk, and it's a risk versus reward thing. And the biggest thing for me,
And this is
you've
now
got
why
to
the
be-
world. This is why the World Surf League is now so successful, because for a long time they did not reward progress, and it was, again, like you said, do a roundhouse cutback, get a barrel. That's surfing on the world stage.
Yeah.
We're not going to reward people trying to do airs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we've gone backwards, whereas surfing has gone forwards.
Yeah, 100%. And once again, I've talked to you guys at length at this. It's the most exciting thing I like watching, like surfing comps at the moment. The women's World Surfing Tour is probably the absolute highlight of what I watch at the moment, because it's so exciting to see the innovation and how fast that women's stand-up surfing is growing like that. I watched every heat of battle. One of my pet peeves, which we've discussed time and time again, is the fact that we're watching people, we're doing big moves, and then they're going to do something else in the
old
whitewash.
looking for the dipping sauce. Yep.
And look, the speed, power, flow. That's what we need. Speed, power, flow. And I feel like there's a lot of that flow and some of that power missing from some of this surfing at the moment.
I just want to make a really clear point. Everything that we're talking about as a group here is like you said, Shane, this is just our opinion. It's constructive feedback for the IBC. Whether they take it on board, whether this message gets to them, we don't know.
Whether the 3 people that listen to this podcast will actually pass it on.
Yeah. I mean, look, I did reach out to Amide Soliveres via Instagram. I was really keen to have a chat. In saying that, he just didn't get back to me, but wouldn't be the first guy to reply my messages. And it wasn't to try and drag anyone down. I was just really keen to get his perspective on it, because I'm sure deep down he would have some type of frustration from that final. In saying that, he's currently sitting in the number 2 spot in the world.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, stoked for him, stoked for Gabrielle, and the rest of the guys that are in that kind of top tier after the first event on the IBC.
What have we got to look forward to next?
Well, there's a big schedule. One news kind of thing I did read about is that the rescheduling of the Peru event,
right?
Just due to logistics.
Yeah.
I assume that means money. Is now being pushed back to sometime in 2025. So that won't be a part of this tour this year. Next event on the calendar, coming up pretty soon, is the Espirito Santo Brazil event. So presented by, ArcelorMittal Wahine Bodyboard Pro. So that is a smaller kind of star rating event. I think $35,000 US total price.
That's a women's event.
Is it just women's?
Yep.
No, women's and juniors.
Women's juniors.
All women. Yeah. Wow. Gotcha. Okay. Well, that's pretty sick.
Yeah.
That's a great prize pool for women. Then the next big pro one then is ATTICA in Chile, which is 1st to 10th of May.
Right, so we're still a month, about a month away.
Just shy of a month away, so not far off. And then followed by that, we've got Antofagasta in Chile as well, and that's a real big event.
That's some big dollars.
That Brazilian event, the Wahine Pro.
Yeah, the women's event.
Did you notice that there's a Master Women's Division prize money in it?
I do.
Oh, right.
That's sick. That's sick. I'm pretty keen to see what legend status kind of competitors who are in that seating. Again, like I said, we don't want to be negative. We want to see this thing get better. It's the World Tour. It deserves to be
constructive feedback.
Yeah,
not criticism.
No, constructive, mate. I've spent too many times in HR offices, boys. Got to use the right words. Yeah.
So probably one thing I want to bring up on that list, we've seen pretty much every other event on there before, but there's one at the Wave Garden Wave Pool.
Is that the Wave Pro?
Yeah, in Brazil, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Interesting
to see what sort of format they run. And
yeah, definitely. That'll be. In saying that, it hasn't been confirmed, so we'll see.
Maldives hasn't been confirmed either.
I'm not sure if that's in regards to the event itself or the I wonder if it's the money that's not confirmed. It's a little bit confusing on the website. Anyway, I think we better wrap this one up, guys. It's been a long one. In saying that, we had a lot to catch up on. Always wanting to finish on a positive note. I think you put this question together, didn't you, Shano?
I did.
So I'm going to ask it because I actually don't know the answer, so I'm going to go last.
Wow. Put it to Watto first.
Yeah.
No. Shane wrote the question. We're going to ask him
Yeah,
first.
it's true. He must have an answer. So the question is, fellas, what is the unicorn item that you don't have in terms of bodyboarding memorabilia? Shano, what have you got?
Threw me out of the bus. I wanted to get you guys going on this one. Well, I'm not a collector of boards.
Tell you what you are, a
That is
collector
such-
of dust in that shed of yours at Blackberry,
Jesus.
mate.
Give me a break, mate. Come on. Don't out me on bloody
And spiders.
couple of redbacks in there. I'm not really a board collector or anything like that. I've got all my old school underground tape videos and that still, even though I haven't got a
VHS player.
to play them on or anything like that.
Hey, come over to my joint. I've got a VHS hooked up to the TV so we can watch them. So we might have to do a live review of bodyboarding enough there or something like that.
Got all my Riptides, got all my AVBs. Two things I've owned in the past, but I no longer have, but I'd love to have back. One is the Mike Stewart Coaching Clinic 1993 T-shirt. That was just a collect. I don't know why. T-shirts mean a lot to me. So, that in particular, I actually had two of them because I conned Tom Wilson into giving me a second by saying, "Oh, I've lost my bag."
Yeah.
So I had two of those, and both those.
That's not a con, that's a lie.
Yeah, it is true. I wore them till they
Tom would be rolling
fell off my
around.
back. Basically, they had massive holes in them. Yeah. And the other is the original Riptide T-shirt, which was a image of Chris Stroh's of PJ Highland at Suck Rock. And it was a sort of yellow, orange, black motif. And Elliot and the boys at Riptide, if I was you, I would get onto that and remake it. Get on Australia.
Get the nod
and reproduce because I'll buy a few off you.
Jay Britton's going to buy the first 100.
Watto, you?
Memorabilia.
Yeah, I've got two.
Probably two pieces.
Yeah.
Two pieces. I'm like Shane. The number of the T-shirts that I've had from certain comps have disappeared. Like, I don't know where they've ended up. And probably one of them, when we had the pro comp / state titles here in Vico in 2011, like a blue T-shirt that had local sponsors and everything like that. I don't know where on earth that's gone, but yeah, that and one, probably a board I'd like to get hold of. And the problem is that it doesn't come in my size. I don't think it does anyway. But I always wanted a Jeff Hubbard graphic bottom in 42.5 or 43. So, I know they ask ridiculous money for them, but that was one board. As we've talked about in the past.
The old BZ one.
Yeah, the BZ one.
Yeah.
So I'm not a person generally for older boards. I've got pretty controversial views on the fact that Dowcore is the most horrible thing I could possibly ride, which will piss off a lot of vintage bodyboarders that think Dowcore is the epitome of bodyboarding technology. But yeah, I always wanted one of those graphic bottoms, and I still remember, I reckon it was 01 Hubbard in Bodyboarding magazine with the center spread with the one with the stars on. I know someone who does own a lot of those graphic bottoms is Putch.
Oh yeah,
he does own a few of them. There's a few pockets around of people that own those, but yeah, that's probably one. And just one other one that I'm probably looking for as well, and it goes back to when I was younger, and it sounds really stupid, but I actually really want a 42 or a 43 inch Manta Sabre Pro from around 2000, 2002 mark.
I think there'd be some of them around, mate.
there'd be plenty of them
You
around.
got to
I
find
reckon.
them.
Yeah. So I've got one.
There'd be a lot on the East Coast.
They had that real thin nose and then they went real thick, and then
High wide point,
and then and then they thickened up at the wide point, and then they went narrow again at the tail. They had a real weird thickness.
Yeah, and I remember the first couple I saw. I reckon Nationals '98. There was I think Rollins and a few others were riding them, and then it was like the go-to board for the Groms or the juniors back in the day. So I'd love another one of them just to ride. I know it's got no stringer or anything, and 110 kilos of me on that would probably be absolutely horrendous.
Feels like wet bread.
But a poly pro with no stringer, not the best idea for me. I'll give you the red hot tip. Anyway,
Benny, what do you?
Benny.
The first I've spoken about before is a board from one of your ranges.
The Simon Ormerod.
Yeah, mate. Custom X Simon Ormerod 4175.
Has anyone hit you up?
PP? No one.
You got $1,000 to chuck at it?
Not that much. No. Sorry, Simo. I mean, I value you, but not that much. Yeah, mate. I know the colorway I want. I know the size. I know the core. Just
Simon Ormerod just texted me saying I've got 4 available.
He told me
in the packaging.
He told me he doesn't have any. He was shocked that I was chasing it. He's like, "Why do you want one?" There's something wrong with you. Then one other thing, and it sounds really petty, but I had a DVD box set which I got rid of before I moved overseas, and I regret it. And that was the Tension box set. I mean,
oh no!
Yeah,
really?
I actually gave it away.
To who?
I fucking don't remember. I had a bit of a fire sale, and I was feeling pretty good in my life because I was leaving.
Extremely generous.
So I had a lot of surfing DVDs as well, like stand-up surfing DVDs, and I gave them, I probably had 40 of them, and I gave them all away to a young surfer from Stratty called Jack. And I was just like, man, I regret that.
Yeah.
At the time as well, I actually just had nowhere to store them. Because I'd run out of time to kind of get everything where it needed to be before I jumped on a plane. So I was like, hey man, you love surfing, here, have this. And I did the same with the Tension box set. I've pretty much got most of the Tension DVDs anyway. But
you want that collection.
Yeah, as individual DVDs. But yeah, kind of just really wish I had it as that box set.
You give those things away.
Yeah, and I mean, I think there was talk for a while about, why he re-releasing, but the hard reality is that he can't really do that, I don't think, now due to...
I think too many people are onto him.
Yeah, there'd be a lot of, I guess, what do you call it, violation of music rights, etc.
Yeah.
Probably some...
Well, if you watch them on YouTube, pretty much like half the audience.
It's funny how we went into a whisper there.
Yeah, secret squirrel stuff. I think there's probably just some controversial kind of pranks in some of the Tension movies now that would just be heavily, heavily frowned upon.
Yeah, it was on its time though. Like you look at, there's a lot of films out there as well that are on their time.
Of course, yeah. And again, back then, I'm not saying it was okay to do these things, but yeah, you can't. It'd be tough to re-release them now, wouldn't it?
Well, anyway. It's funny. I was reading the news this morning. They were talking about back in the 90s, the 5 Cougars think that wouldn't get up these days.
I mean, episodes of Bluey are being banned in parts of the world because they're considered controversial. What do we come to? So once again, thanks, Chris, Shane. Always good to be in your company and have these conversations. Big shout out to everyone that listens to us and follows us and supports us. Really appreciate it. And then obviously to everyone behind the scenes, Sammy, MJ, the music team, all of our guests. And obviously you, Social Shane, for promoting the hell out of us. You're doing a great job.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
All right. Well, once again, thanks again. And we'll see everyone next time. Cheers.
Yo.